Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Today we will be taking another look at the Cycloid HD from Zippy Balisong, and finally ending the backlog that's been on this channel since late May, beginning with the palette video. It is so insane that I've had a Balisong video planned out for 2 months now, and I'm just now getting to the end of that list. And honestly, not even to the end of that list, just to the end of products that I have to or want to cover. It's so crazy. So never think that I take the position that I'm in for granted. This is so cool to be able to do this. Especially with all these cool products that people want to send me. But today, the final product that I have to cover, the Zippy Cycloid HD. And I do want to apologize to Zippy that this is the last one. That's just the way that the cards fell. Full disclosure before we get into this video, Zippy did provide this unit for free. He let me pick it out at Blade Show, which was super cool of him. And talking to him at Blade Show was a super cool experience. I always enjoy getting to talk to Zippy. So keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your head for the rest of this video. And take my opinions with as big of a grain of salt as you need. Trust me, I understand. I get it. The Cycloid HD is a Balisong that I talked about a year ago when I was included in a pass-around for one when it first started coming out. And it served to be an upgrade to a Balisong that I had previously really enjoyed. Not necessarily for the flipping aspect, even though that was good, but for the newness and the innovation that the Cycloid V2 brought to the 3D printed Balisong space. This innovation, and I don't think you could call it anything other than that, of these toolless spacers that you can just take out with your hands, pop out some weights, change the balance, the blade you can change the balance on even if it's a little more difficult, was such a new and fresh idea that was just so exciting that I'm pretty sure I made 3 videos on the thing when I first got it. One simply just praising how cool the engineering of the product was. But if you may recall, and some people might not, but let me refresh your memory, my biggest problem with it, I believe my biggest problem with it, was the fact that the handles outside of the spacers felt like they weighed nothing. You take the spacers out and the Balisong weighs nothing. It feels a little, I don't want to say flimsy because it feels solid, but it definitely doesn't feel as dense as I would like it to. And that is exactly what the Cycloid HD fixed. This glass-filled nylon feels far more dense. It feels far more weighty. It feels far more durable. It just makes the overall experience of the Cycloid feel so much better. And I would go as far to say it's one of the first premium, truly premium feeling plastic Balisongs from a 3D printing maker. Granted, it would be unfair of me to not bring up the Squiddy as a premium feeling plastic Balisong, but Squid is not creating these things from 3D printing, and Squid is not known for 3D printing. This is, in my opinion, the Cycloid HD is the first Balisong from a 3D printing maker. People like Tay or Flipforge or Chroma or people, even Zippy, that truly feels premium. The first 3D printed maker's plastic Balisong that truly feels like I don't have to baby it. Granted, the Cycloid V2 I didn't baby. I actually flipped it over concrete a good amount. But this one just inspires a lot more confidence in the feel of the hand. I actually flipped this thing, and other people flipped it almost the entire time at Bite Handle Rave over hardwood floors, which you might recall was the fate or the reason that the other custom palette broke, and the reason that my Calico 1.5 cracked at the pivots. So even just doing that, Zippy is creating a Balisong that kind of rises above the rest of his peers in terms of durability. This is a plastic Balisong I wouldn't be afraid to beat a little bit. I have a ton of faith that it would survive, and if it didn't, I have a ton of faith that Zippy would implement the fixes that it would need. Oh my gosh, I can't speak today. I have full confidence that Zippy would implement the fixes that it needed to avoid that happening in the future. And this thing was an absolute blast to flip the entire time at Bite Handle. It just while it's not my favorite balance in the world, it definitely struggles on chaplains a little bit. This is with a little bit more handle bias than I would typically like, but this actually, I believe, is 1 weight heavier than the last time that I talked about the Cycloid HD. So it feels good, but even with, I took out the spacer earlier, you could see that there was only 1 weight missing, which I guess it's easy enough. I'm only missing this ball. I didn't take out any of the discs like I did in my Cycloid V2. I think even with that, I don't think it would really fix the chaplain issue, and I'm not really sure what's causing that chaplain issue, but chaplains aren't as sticky. But this was a thing with the Cycloid V2 as well. Chaplains just don't feel the most sticky. It's kind of like a Vulp scenario where you do have to chaplain it a little slower, a little bigger circles so that it doesn't fly off. But it rollovers fine, and surprisingly giraffes like better than most balisongs in my collection. So it's a really weird thing, because normally if you're struggling with chaplains, you're going to fail at 0 Gs, which, I mean, I guess it does for extended 0 Gs, but you're going to fail at 0 Gs, you're going to fail at rollovers, you're going to fail at giraffes. And the Cycloid HD really doesn't fall short in any of those besides just the normal chaplain, which is weird. But could also be credited to the fact that I just do all those chaplain variations slower than my normal chaplain. Very possible. The other thing is that this material that's being used, the glass-filled nylon, is a bit sandpaper-esque. If you were to chaplain on it, for example, for a long time, you would definitely start to feel that friction, definitely start to feel your finger burning a bit from that material kind of grinding against it. But if that's the price that I have to pay to receive a balisong that I can drop on concrete without worrying about it, I would take that all day. And sure, the price is a bit expensive for what a lot of people would just say, oh, it's a piece of plastic. But when you combine the fact that this thing has such an interesting build, such cool innovations, and such a premium feel that I mentioned earlier, I think it more than justifies the price that he's charging for it, especially with the level of customization that you can reach with this thing. Because all of my praise for the customizability of the Cycloid V2 doesn't go away here. I can still experiment with tons of different weight configurations, balance profiles, all of that stuff. Because it's the Cycloid V2 just in a better shell, which is so cool. And while the Cycloid HD hasn't exactly overtaken my favorite spot as a plastic flipper, it's certainly gotten close. I think at this point, my favorite plastic balisong list is looking very different than it used to, especially with Tay kind of winding down production over the past few months. I would say, honestly, some of my favorite plastic balisongs you're looking at right here. Things like the Chroma V2.5, which surprised me far more than I ever expected it to. Things like the Palette, which for the price is one of the best flippers in the sub-$100 space, period, if you ask me. But maybe I'll make a video on that in the future. Ooh. And the Cycloid HD, which may not flip exactly how I want it to, but for a plastic balisong, this thing is so solid, man. If you take the customizability of the marbles and the durability of the squiddy, you kind of have this thing. And that is just really cool to me. And that's kind of all I have to say. I don't really... Nothing really has changed about the Cycloid HD, except that I find myself enjoying flipping it so much more than I ever thought I would. When I first tried it, it was a balisong that I was like, yeah, I really enjoy that, but I don't know if I would buy one just because I already have the Cycloid V2, and I'm not sure how much use it would get. This thing has been getting a lot of use in my collection. I've been flipping it a lot. As, I shouldn't say a public flipper because I don't really flip in public, but I've been using it a lot. I've been carrying it with me a lot more than I thought I would. It's just such a solid balisong, and it's so much fun, even if it isn't, you know, competitively the best flipper. So, huge thank you to Zippy. Dude, I don't know why you gave me one of these at Blade Show, but thank you so much for doing it. I am really excited to try out some of your mods that I will be hopefully ordering here in a little bit. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But for the rest of you, thank you so much for watching as usual. And I will see you guys in the next few videos for some more theoretical stuff rather than me just covering products for 2 months straight, which covering products is great, don't get me wrong. But man, am I excited to talk about some more hypothetical, theoretical stuff in the Balisong community. Like, what do I think is a good plastic flipper? Or saying goodbye to the apartment that I've recorded for a majority of the time that I've been on Blade Bias. But that'll all happen when it happens. Thank you all for watching. Ooh, excuse me. And I will see you all in the next one. Later.